And we're live! Hello everyone and welcome to the Uninformed Handball Hours exchange with Twitch again. And I just got a bit of a momentary pause there because Alex Kulash couldn't hear me, but he can hear me now, so it's all good. Alex, you're there?
I am there.
Excellent. And you may notice, those of you watching, that myself, Chris O'Reilly and Brian Campion here are in the same room. Alex is not. And that is because, like most great teams at EHF Euro 2022, our key player is also in isolation at the moment and just waiting to be let loose for the key phase of this competition. It's sad without him, but like most teams, we have to plow on.
Exactly, yeah. I'm excited for this now. We're doing the All-Star nominations, our All-Star team picks today. And I think, unlike you guys, I've kind of gone for maybe a different thing. I know you're going to come with your stats and your facts and memories of what happened. I'm coming for something a little bit different now. I'm coming for pure feeling and emotion, you know. So I won't have much to back up with my claims today, but I have very, very big ideas and big opinions.
Oh shit, memories, that's it's coming hard. I think Alex is probably going to be the most prepared from everyone here, at least stats-wise, because he's had a lot of time to prepare. And but first of all, Alex, how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. I'm almost finished my isolation, hopefully. So, just getting ready for the big leagues in the final weekend.
Good stuff. And for those of you who haven't chosen your All-Star team yet, the big news is that the nominations were revealed this morning, and there's an opportunity for you to get involved and choose your All-Star team. Now, the All-Star team at these major competitions are always very contentious things by the end of it. But here, there's no excuses, right? By Sunday, when it's revealed at the final week, at the end of the final weekend, if you don't like who's there and you haven't voted, then you've only yourself to blame, right? So get the Home of Handball app and get your votes in for all of the 7 positions and best defender as well, which is very important. We'll be going through each of those. And before we dive into the first one, anything you have to say, Brian?
No, just that I'm excited, and I think, yeah, I wanted to start with best defender because I like to get it out of the way because I think it's like, the least important position in the court. But we'll start. But I think we'll start with left wing, shall we?
Let's start with left wing, and with each of the positions here, we have a little intro video to give you an overview of the nominees, and then we'll tell you who we decided.
But it's left behind and away comes Sweden on the counter-attack. Ball over to Hampusvana. This is his bread and butter. Hampusvana. Oh, left the keeper for dead there. That is dirty.
We can indeed. All right. Yeah. Okay. Good. Now it's the first time we're actually here in person. I don't want to fuck things up here early doors. Oh, did I curse?
You cursed earlier.
Oh, so we have a beautiful background here as well, which we're very proud of. And sad that Alex isn't here to share it with us. But as we look at the nominees here, before we decide who we have chosen, also get involved in the chat as well and give us your nominees for each and every position, because it's not just about us, it's to get you guys involved and to share yours. I mean, the left wing position has been an interesting one this year, and I have a feeling this is going to be a contentious position for the three of us. I've gone for somebody that I didn't think I would only a couple of days ago. So I feel I've gone rogue against myself in this situation. And you said you weren't going to go for your stats and memories. I think I've only gone on memories here. I've got about 4 stats written down on my notes here, so we might have a completely different approach. We'll have Brian on his, I don't know, how did you describe your approach to this?
Just pure feeling.
Your feeling.
Yeah.
We'll have Alex and his knowledge, and we'll have me and my memories and what I saw or didn't see.
I think we had a lot of handball analytics stuff the last few days, so I'm trying to balance it out now with just pure airhead takes on things, you know?
Yeah.
This is a guy now who we've been talking about actually a lot about on the podcast. Vujovic, he's been a bit of a highlight reel for many different reasons, huh?
I feel like there's a bit too much Chris O'Reilly there when we had Chris O'Reilly commentary over those goals and Chris O'Reilly speaking throughout that. So I think we gotta figure that out.
Okay, less Chris O'Reilly. That's the key to this, and that's why I wanted to check if we could talk over it, because I know my commentary's on it, and that's what you all want to hear. Particularly those of you not able to view the matches on EHF TV or English language partner broadcasters. But maybe Alex, you can take us through the 6 nominees here, because my vision is not that great.
Well, the left wing is probably one of the toughest positions in this whole championship. The left wings have really stood out throughout the championship. We have Hampus Vanna as the first nominee, really a dominant player, someone who's risen through the ranks quite quickly and is probably counted as the best left winger in the world at the moment. Then Sebastian Barthold has been a rising star. We spoke to him on our podcast just a couple of days ago about how he came kind of from nowhere to now scoring 40 goals in the European Championship. Alberto Fernandez he kind of burst on the scene 2 years ago. He was one of these unknown Spanish players that's actually unbelievable, and he's just incredibly consistent. Emil Jakobsen just doesn't miss. He's pretty incredible. Bjarkimar Ellison was having an unbelievable tournament, but unfortunately lost a couple of games to COVID. And Milos Vujovic has been an absolute shithouser in the best way possible.
Yeah, definitely one of these players is a contender for one of our own awards, which is going to be announced later on in the championship. So how do we do this? Do we reveal all 3 at once, or we do it one by one? What do you say, producer? All at once? Okay, so we'll have the big reveal. And Ryan, how about you take us through your decision for the left wing?
Well, this is someone I saw a lot playing in person, and I was just really impressed about. First of all, his story and his rise to the Norwegian national team. He was on the outside a lot for a long time, with Jondal taking that position, and he has come into the national team now after waiting for a long time. He's 30 years old, I think, so he's not by any means a young player, but he seems like a young player. It seems like a new guy in the national team, and his 10 out of 10 goals for me against Poland was a big game, and he's obviously 3rd overall top scorer at the moment, so he's had an incredible outing. I will give Hampus Vanna the best goal from the left wing position of the tournament. That spin shot underneath Johannes Bitter's legs, I think, was probably one of the most beautiful goals of the whole tournament. So I'll give him that, but I would still probably stick to Sebastian Barthold because of the story. And I said I'm going about feeling today, so the story behind his rise to the national team is what peaked it for me.
How about you, Alex?
I went with Vanna because of one thing that differentiates him from all of the other players nominated, and that is his ability to go in as a second line and receive a goal. That's something that Sweden have used really effectively in competition, and he really is, even though he's absolutely tiny, he's able to find pockets of space and kind of open another dimension to Sweden's attack. So otherwise, he's been incredible from 7 meters. I think he's just missed 2. He was perfect until that last game against Norway. And yeah, he's just really, really solid. So it was a really tough choice, but he is mine.
And Chris, you went for the absolute rebel of the tournament.
Yeah.
A bit of a wild pick there. Want
Milos
to justify
Vujovic.
that?
Yeah, I will. And yeah, like I said, a couple of days ago, I wouldn't have expected that I'd be going for this guy, Milos Vujovic. On a recent podcast, I expressed my, not hatred for him, but irritation by the way he acts on the court. I mean, Alex put it perfectly there. He is, he's a bit of an arse, right, on the court. The way he acts, he looks for the dirty solution to a lot of things. And you see, sometimes if it needs to, he'll dive to get somebody a red card. If he needs to push somebody and they might crack their head off the ground, so be it. Not saying he did that at this championship, but that's the kind of thing he's seems willing to do for his national team. He's very proud, clearly very proud of his Montenegrin team, and he, at the end of the day, is a brilliant player. I don't have the stat on this, but I'm guessing, based on pure speed, he's the fastest player at this championship. His ability to counterattack is amazing. His finishing is brilliant out in the left wing as well, and it just seemed to get better as the competition went on. 41 goals in the end for him, 18 of them in the last 2 games. And he almost single-handedly brought Montenegro back into that game against Iceland in the second half. He scored 6 of their goals at the start of the second half out of all of their 6. And then there was that goal, the acrobatic one where he got the pass from Nebojša Simic, caught it, knocked him over, rolled backwards, popped up onto his feet, and then managed to put it away. Yes, it might have been travelling.
Best illegal goal of the tournament.
Best illegal goal of the tournament. And that
is
suits
that
him down
travelling?
to the ground.
Is that
You can't touch the ball off the ground like that.
But he rolled backwards. That's like a zero step
To get
at
up,
least.
he pushed the ball. He pushed the ball off the ground. I think that was the problem.
Yeah, almost certainly illegal, but I think the referees appreciated it. Style points. And yeah, there's nobody better to get the best illegal goal of the championship than Milos Vujovic.
My favourite thing about him is, as what you said also on the podcast, is that he's doing all these things on the court. He's pulling jerseys, he's doing things he shouldn't be doing. And then once he gives the post-match interview, he's the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah. Every time, three matches in a row, he got the post-match interview. And each time he said, I would like to begin by congratulating the opposition. It's just he's brilliant, and he gets my vote for there. But a good lineup there, all 6 overall. We have Angel Fernandez in there, not Alberto, but our man.
I was saying that.
Just before people give us shit in the comments, we know it's Angel Fernandez. And a little bit of Alberto Entrerios, Angel Fernandez mix going on there.
I'm sure he has an Alberto in his name because Spanish people have about 15 names, so he must have an Alberto in there somewhere.
Yeah, without a doubt, or at least an uncle. Emil Jakobsen only missed 2 shots in the entire championship so far. He's definitely a contender. And Bjarki Marielison, who, as you said, Alex, was just brilliant. I think if he wasn't out with COVID for a few games in that main round, he probably would have been my choice there. Yeah.
And maybe just worth noting for everyone that the All-Star teams we're picking is kind of All-Star teams up until the end of the main round. Because I know there are a lot of critics like Rasmus Boyson who would only select an All-Star team at the very end of the tournament. So there are some differences, and maybe things change, but it's just the players we've really enjoyed and liked watching until the end of the main round.
Well put, Alex. And like we said, if you don't like who is going to be in the All-Star team at the end, it's your own fault if you haven't voted. So get out there, get the app if you haven't already, and get voting. So I think we can move on to the left back position. Right? And,
I hope so, yeah.
I hope so. And, and with that, we're not going to hear from me anymore because there's enough commentary of me doing this anyway. So, Brian.
Left back. Yeah, it's... I went for a little bit of a hipster pick, I think, on this one. Because I think there's a man on screen there right now who I think would be most people's pick. And I think even if he hadn't played any bit of handball at all, Mikkel Hansen would probably still get about 50% of the vote, even if he played 0 minutes. So it's easy always to lean into Mikkel Hansen. I avoided that temptation this time out. We have a German replacement, Köster, who came in there as a late replacement. He did quite well as also. maybe a little bit light for international handball at this level, but he will be a good player, I think. That is then on screen. I have very bad vision from this distance. Kosorotov, of course, yes. He's probably scored the second best illegal goal of the tournament. And then we've the Polish Cisco here, who he was actually very impressive for Poland. When Poland were playing well, he was always at the backbone of that. And then, not giving anything away here, but I like this guy a lot. Tim Lucin. His game against Denmark was quite incredible, I thought. He really switched it up in the backcourt for them. Who else do we have here? Casado also. He came in as a late replacement for Spain. He was, I think, good. Yeah, I think overall, very, very good tournament. I think there was a lot of question marks about him coming into this. Would he be able to replicate his club form at this level? And I think he did.
There you go. So let's go with Alex first to give your choice for the left back position.
My left back was a tough one. One reason is because I wanted to select Mikkel Hansen as a centre back to cheat a little bit and get a different left back in there. But the rules of this show did not allow me to do that. So I had to have Mikkel Hansen in the team. He has to be in there. It's not what I try to focus on a lot of my picks is consistency and overall impact on the game. So while Hansen, he's only scored 20 outfield goals and then 20 penalties. He just influences that Danish team to a maximum extent. Everything they do is because of Mikkel Hansen. And yeah, he's my left back all-star.
Very boring pick, Alex. I must say, I'm very disappointed. You usually make a hot take.
Well, hold on, but both of you have decided to go for a hot take on this one.
I don't know what it is.
Both of you are trying to be contrarians.
He wasn't even in this tournament. No, we did go for the hipster pick, Chris. Let's be honest. We went for Tim Lucin. Why did you pick him?
Well, like I promised, it's going to be based on memories, and I've been lucky enough to follow Croatia all the way on the commentary side from the opening game in Szeged, and in that loss to France, he was not on my radar at all for this team. I had him somewhere in my notebook here. I think I had him, let me have a look here. It's going to be really boring.
It's great TV now.
This is amazing. So, yeah, particularly because we don't have a cameraman to zoom in. But I actually had him as a centre back on my notes here in the opening game. That's just what he was listed as, and that's as much as I knew about Tim Lucin. And then I knew that it was going to be Sindrich when he came back. Gadja would start at centre back, and so this guy was like nowhere on my radar. In the left back position for Croatia, it was all about Halil Jaganjac before the championship.
True, yeah.
Everyone we talked among ourselves as well in the podcast pre-championship. Halil Jaganjac was the man expected to do the business. Comes in against France the first few minutes, and Jaganjac, like a bull in a china shop, and tries to fight his way through. Nothing was working for him. So they mix things up, and they bring in Tim Lucin. And from there, you know, as far as a man can fall for a handball player in a purely handball-loving, platonic sense, I fell for Tim Lucin. And he had a fantastic game there, and he just kept it up throughout the championship. He became their starting left back. He became their go-to guy. And when things, I think with a big thing about a player like this, or any player at this championship, you know how important they are when things aren't going well for them and it's not going well for the team. We saw that against the Netherlands yesterday, where he wasn't having a great game, but and with that, the team were struggling as well. So he has been a huge part for them. 28 goals as well, which I think is very good going, considering the way that Croatia play. And that's why he's my choice.
I've nothing more to add. I think you've discussed everything,
Sorry.
Chris. Yeah. You've been reading my notes, I see. No, I mean,
before we move on, Brian, you
I was just going to say,
wax more lyrical on Tim Lucin.
If Jaganjac was a bull in a china shop, I think Tim Lucin is probably the opposite of that. So what would the opposite be?
He's
a deer in a pillow shop.
A deer in a pillow shop.
No, but he's a complete opposite of Jaganjac in a lot of ways. I think he's he's a bit more like a centre back. The way he plays from the left back position, he's a bit more of a Gietsel type. If I could make that comparison without sounding ridiculous, but in terms of styles of play, anyway. But yeah, nothing more to add. Alex, do you want to move on?
Just before we do move on from the left backs, the player I did want to choose at left back was Kosaratov, because he has absolutely lit up this championship. Mr. Five Step himself has just really been the star for Russia, and if he wasn't out due to COVID, there's a chance that we see Russia in the semi-finals, and that's something that probably no one expected. I'm really just excited to see more of him. And a last kind of honourable mention is to Agustin Casado, because he has been Spain's best attacking player. He has scored the most goals for him and has the most assists. He has I think he's the 5th in the combined goals and assists category in the championship so far. And it's crazy that he hasn't played for Spain at all until this stage. This guy has just been there, ready to be unleashed. And Spain, for some reason, called up Antonio Garcia, a 47-year-old Antonio Garcia in the last championship. And when he was there and ready to go, but then they did win the last championship with Antonio Garcia. So I don't know. I will not doubt Jordi Ribera, but really impressive from Casado, and he has a move to Meshkov Brest lined up for next season. So maybe we'll see him in the Champions League.
Yeah, hopefully if Meshkov Brest are still going by then, we'll find out. As we invited you at the start of the chat to join the chat as well and give us your choices for each of these positions. And we got one here from Jordanek saying, Sichko mode, MVP. That's the one player we haven't talked about, Szymon Sichko. I think he did do pretty well in the championship. He is a powerhouse at left back, and Poland almost managed to win against Spain without him. Imagine what they would have been able to do with him. We might not have had Spain here at this point. So yeah, Sichko also deserves a big shout out. But in the end, first agreement, just like here on the screen, our heads are side by side, Brian. How many more?
I can't believe the first agreement we got is Tin Lutin.
I know. The great thing about this is that we all sent our picks in anonymously, so none of us know yet who we've gone for, unless Brian has been reading my notes here, but it doesn't make a difference now because you've made your choices.
True.
Well.
Yeah.
So will there be more surprises? Let's find out. And we'll move on to the centre backs. Time for the Playmakers. And I think this is always a bit of a contentious one, isn't it, Alex? Let's take us through the 6 nominees.
Well, starting up, we have Quentin Maya, who was really the driving force of France at the start, and I think they really missed him and still do to date. Luke Steins really was the outstanding story. Him and Kai Smith have been the outstanding story in the early stage of the tournament, and Luke Steins just knows how to run a team. Philip Weber is contentious because he's not really a playmaker or a centre back. He's really a left back playing, but I think he has been good because Germany had no one except for him for much of the tournament. Zhetnikov just kind of again came out of nowhere for this tournament. He's been good for a long while, but the level he stepped up and the partnership he's built with Kosaratov has been really impressive, particularly spraying those assists. Jim Gottfriedson, not much to say about him except for he is Sweden. He gives the team talks, he decides what they do, and they're here because of him. So that might give you a hint as to who I picked. And the last one who was nominated was Sander Sagosen at centre back. So if Mikkel Hansen can't be nominated as a playmaker and Sander Sagosen can, I don't know what we're doing here.
A hint maybe for the Women's Euro to consult Alex Kulesh on positions here. He's not wrong though. So that's our 6 nominees for the playmaker position. And I haven't gone first yet, so shall I go first?
You go first, yeah.
Give my
you can introduce yourself there, Chris.
My name is Chris O'Reilly. You may know me from the voice on the TV there. From others.
Modest.
the only one left at this championship. And centre back. Yeah, so I tried to spread the love a little bit here among the positions in the team. There's only one nationality that is repeated for me twice in the whole 8 players. And so I was really wanting to squeeze in the Dutch somehow, because there was a couple of players to put in there. In the end, I had to go to Luc Steins. He was my man, and thankfully I'm alone here, which is good that we're not agreeing on everything. And Luc Steins has just been, it can be easy to overlook him if you look at the stats, because he doesn't always deliver stats-wise for the team. In recent games, he definitely has, particularly in that draw against Croatia. But the way without him, the team wouldn't be able to play the way it does. I mean, the way he just constantly, over and over again, sets the pace. The fact that he's there scares the living daylights out of opposition. I mean, in the game against Portugal, for example, the first time we saw them live at this championship, or I saw them live in person at this championship, I noticed after about 5 minutes when Luc Steins started to run the counterattacks and was literally running around the entire Portuguese team, everyone realized, okay, actually, we can just outrun these guys. He's a really brave player, gets stuck in defense when he's allowed to. He gets a surprising amount of 2-minute suspensions, which is brilliant. And yeah, he sets the play up for them. Him and the 2 boys who was with Kai Smits and Danny Bynes were wonderful in the backcourt. And yeah, he goes where it hurts, that's for sure. And it really took its toll, because he couldn't play. They decided not to play him against Denmark because he'd had so many knocks. They wanted to rest him for that Croatia game, which was a great idea. And in that Croatia game, finally, that goal he scored, where he ducked in and out and almost like swam in between the defenders to score the equalizer just before the buzzer, that really takes a lot of bravery and skill, and that's why I gave it to Luc Steins.
This is one of the picks I knew you picked, because at lunch you briefly showed me your screenshot of your All-Star team on the Home of Handball app. Downloadable now. And you showed me your screenshot of that, and I saw that Luc Steins was in centre back. So I'd already put in my picks for the team.
And was it Luke?
No. And I'd already put them in. So when I saw that at lunch, I'd already put them in. So I went upstairs and I thought, I'm going to nail Chris now with some stats about Jim versus Luke. Then he's going to look like a fool on air. But so I went and I looked up, I did the head-to-head stats of Jim versus Luke. And it was too late to change my mind. And then I saw that Luke was better in every aspect, apart from shot speed and steals. And he was better everywhere else. So that's why I've also taken Luc Steins as my pick. Can I change my mind?
No, your head is over there. That surprises me, though, because he doesn't always seem like the stats mogul, but he managed to get it. So there you go. That's really
his movement off the ball is just scary for most teams. I was watching it from a height because I only arrived in Budapest yesterday, and when you watch the games from a height,
can I just stop you there? It looks like Alex is searching Google now. He's trying to find.
I'm fact checking Brian's stats because I'm really not sure about this.
Go on, continue. Good. Go on. Give Alex another 15 seconds to fact check.
Then I'll go into why Jim Gulfierson's better.
Clement, the next time Alex talks, you just cut him off so we just don't hear his stats. But his movement off the ball, and I think it's harder to see when you're watching it on TV with the angle. But when you're in the Budapest Handball Arena, like is the official title for it. When you go up to the very high parts of the stadium and you look down, you can really see his movement off the ball a lot clearer. And he's moving in and around people, and it's absolute. People can't keep track of him. It's like this annoying mosquito that you can't find in the dark.
Like players, when they come up against him, they become terrified of him. Like the Portuguese centre backs, Jakub Gojan for Croatia, they're just like, oh, how am I gonna? Jakub Gojan was trying to step out like 10, 11 meters against him early in the game. And then he realized that was a really bad idea. He's like, I'm going to stop him before he starts going quickly. And then no, he's just gone.
That's a nightmare.
It's
yeah.
brilliant. Okay. So
Alex,
why did you go for Jim Gottfriedson first, though? Let's back it up a little bit before Alex takes us to task.
I've seen a bit more of Jim live as well, and or Jim live, and Silent J, and yeah. Look, as Alex said, he is Mr. Sweden, and this whole new trend of literally taking the team talks. I'm often down on court doing filming, and he's in there, and the coach has the first sentence, and then Jim takes most of the time out.
Yeah.
So it really is, he is the main man there, and their whole new way of playing, which has kind of abandoned their high tempo, all gas, no brakes thing, and a little bit slower of a style. He's the center of that, and that's what worked against Norway, and that's probably why in the end, they probably won against Norway. Norway, as I was reading some stats beforehand, that Norway had the quickest attack in the whole competition. I was like, most attacks were under, oh God, I can't remember the seconds now, but it was very quick.
30 seconds.
Yeah, under 30 seconds.
Roughly 30.
Yeah, and then Sweden had the second slowest. So he's kind of been probably the center of that whole new transition. Will it be enough now to move on to taking it to the next level and take gold? We'll see, I suppose.
Go on, Alex.
Alex, come on. Where are your stats?
The stats are very comparable between the two players. So Jim has scored more goals, as you can see on the screen there. Slightly, and Luke has one more assist.
Luke didn't play one game.
Radio silence.
But I think in terms of, let's build in the pace stat that the Handball Analytics guys have been playing. Luke has a lot more opportunities to score an assist. But in essence, they're very, very different types of playmaker. Luke Steins, who is trying to speed up the ball as much as possible, running from side to side. Jim Gottfriedson basically stands at like the 8-meter line and makes a decision from there. I think because of everything he does and the way he dictates play, Jim Gottfriedson's my playmaker. But as I say again, I would have put Hansen in as playmaker.
Why am I defending a position I didn't take in the first place? This is crazy. I should have been backing you up, Alex. I don't know what I'm doing here. Anyways,
so far, yeah, there's a poll here saying who's picked best so far, and Alex is the clear winner. Chef Bontea has written, when you don't have Hansen in your All-Star team, you were really wrong. So yeah, Alex is the clear winner. Chef Bontea, you may be right in that particular case, but if we all went for the same person over and over again, it would be a pretty short and a pretty terrible episode of this. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And please keep your comments coming. We don't want to hear what you think. But one comment which I don't want to hear is, I saw it on the last 2 streams, is someone talking about my shiny head. So I don't want to hear that anymore. We're going to move on from that.
Nobody mentioned Brian's shiny head. Okay, so just quickly on the other centre backs in here. I mean, Philip Weber, what? Lads, come on.
Move on, will we?
I know he has been. He's been very good for.
Would Germany. You stop it?
I'm as much of a Philip Weber hater as any of us, but he's just been the consistent leader.
Well,
not a very skilled playmaker, but a very consistent leader.
He's a good leader. I loved in the game against Russia 2 days ago, Bratislava. He was like 1 from 6 or 1 from 7 for most of the game. And I was noticing myself that I was becoming a bit like actual hateful on air. And I had to catch myself here because I was short of calling him useless. And then he did, however, play a really nice in-flight pass across for a goal. And in the timeout, Jim Gottfriedson style called the wing-to-wing Kempa to win the game. So I have to give him some credit for that.
Yeah. I think Sander Sagason's probably the best left back in that centre back position.
Yeah, that's true. Zhitnikov, fantastic as well. Really he's had a big championship, as Alex mentioned. So yeah, some good choices there overall. And Mahe, if he hopefully he'll be fit for the final weekend. So
could be a game changer for them.
Absolutely, yeah. And so just before, let's Chef Monte totally agrees with your point. Hopefully it's my point. Thank you.
It was definitely my point.
Thank you, though, for the interaction. Keep it coming. So we're going to move on to the right back position next. And this is going to be really, really difficult because
I think I know where we're all going with this one.
Because the thing is, and Alex tweeted it from the Handball Hour Twitter account today, literally all of the best players in the world right now are left-handed backcourt players. Simple as that. Alex, take us through the nominees.
First one was Magnusson, the star of Iceland. We'll speak about him a lot. Kai Smits has been, again, one of the absolutely exceptional players. DKM was trucking along slowly in the championship until the second half of that last main round game, but he's just genuinely an exceptionally exciting player. Matthias Gitzel, I can talk about this guy for hours. I can talk about him, about what he does, how he does it, and I'll try fit in as much as I can into this stream.
I think Alex is frozen there. Yeah. I'll take over until last.
He's
back. You're back in business, Alex. He's gone again.
Rykent has had a good one.
Yeah. There's something about the internet doesn't want to talk about Harold Rykent.
And lastly, Martinovic has been, he was the player that we are really excited to watch at this tournament, and he really, before we get into going through the players, I want to share a theory I have about why all the best players in the world are left-handed right now. And that theory is related to the 10,000 hour rule. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, of basically sport success stems from 10,000 hours of practice, lots of luck and lots of factors falling in place to be at the highest level. And why I think all the best players are left-handed is because they have had the least amount of competition growing up through their handball careers. So if you're a right-handed player, you're fighting over a left back position. You're sharing time with players as you're growing up. If you're left-handed, you're the right back, and you will forever be the right back. That's why players like Magnusson, Smits, and Gitzel, who are quite small even, are just in that position and can dominate. And they're kind of given this opportunity to progress throughout their lives at the very highest level in basically 60 minutes, when other players have to share left back and only playing 20-30 minutes, and they build up these hours and become and that is my theory.
Chris is a left-hander, and I can feel he's just got very tense all of a sudden listening to this.
No, because it just makes me think, for like the last 10, 15 years, every team I've been on, there's been like 7 left-handers. There's never a shortage of left-handers. A couple of years ago, the Irish national team, the 3 of the best players in the team were left-handers, and then I was also there.
Yeah, there's 7 left-handers, but then 13 right-handers. So even at the highest level,
Yeah, but there are 4 positions for right-handers in a team, and only 2 positions for left-handers in a team. When you're being, let's say, you're being strict about it. Like, there is only right back and right wing, really, for left-handers when you're growing up.
We've seen the player left-handed.
Yeah, when you're growing up, and if your line player is left-handed, then you're wasting your time. I mean, just slim down a little bit and get in the wing. Alex.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's are all
Oh, this is such a hard pick now, this one, isn't it? I think there's no way that all 3 of us are going for the same thing here. Absolutely no way, no?
Find out.
Oh, what?
Ooh.
Alex,
I think I'm gonna preempt what Alex is gonna say here. It's based on what he said before, and it's the opposite of what I've done for this particular position, which is base it on what we've seen so far, which Alex has done. I'm basing it on what I've seen so far, but also what I imagine the final outcome will be, based on how amazing Matthias Giesel has been.
My preparation for this position was I was going to hand it over to Alex and let Alex talk about Matthias Giesel for so long, because I know Alex has all these stats and everything in his head. And now that he's gone for something else, my notes are sitting blank here, and I'm waiting for you, Alex, to come in and save the day.
Yeah.
I can give you notes. He's scored there. What is it? There 35 goals from 36 shots at a stupid 97% success rate. That is just insane. He not only does that, he is the second highest assist maker in the championship, and on top of that, he also has an incredible skill for getting 7-meter penalties. So he has drawn 15 7-meter penalties in 5 games. It just does everything. He's incredible.
He did miss one shot though, and there's a player on my list here who didn't miss any shots, and we'll come to him a little bit later. The true Mr. 100%, who's also Danish. So we'll get to that a little bit later. Coming up after the break. There's no breaks here, but anyway.
Keep going. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Giesel in that sense, that's why I went for him. You know, also did those 35 goals and the uncountable, unless you counted them, assists in 5 games as well. Only 5 matches played for him. He's been phenomenal. Everything has shifted in this Danish team over the last year. It used to be about creating things for the left-hand side of the court. Now it's about creating things for Matthias Giesel. We see that in the Croatia game in particular, which was really like on the wire. And Miguel Hansen was creating things, looking to create space for him, which he did over and over again. He makes it look so easy. We've talked about him so much also in these live streams, because we had Stefan Kretschmer on in the last one, speaking about the story of how he signed Giesel and how amazing he is. I don't know if anyone can possibly underrate him anymore, except Alex, clearly, who's gone for Omar. But yeah, in Alex's defense, it is a very difficult position. Also, we had a comment in here saying Branko Vujovic, another one who wasn't even nominated here. But yeah, Giesel has been brilliant so far. His stats in terms of final amount of goals scored, not the highest, but he's only played 5 matches. And in the semi-final and the final, he'll probably manage about 8 or 9 goals in each game as Denmark would.
Yeah, and he's just
unbelievable
to watch as well. I mean, he's one of the best players that you can witness live, and his 1-against-1 ability and just his ability to spin around players, find the line, and just get shots off when he's sideways in the air. His balance and everything is just absolutely incredible. And with your point there, what you made about it's moved from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, that's made Denmark a lot better and a lot harder to deal with as well, because when you think it back to Denmark playing in the past when they've played really badly, you've just imagined Mikkel Hansen at the ball, kind of like, come on, Mikkel, do something. And that seems to be kind of gone a little bit from their game. So, yeah, they're going to be very, very tough to beat.
So why did you go for Omar Inge Magnusson?
I went for Inge Magnusson because of even had went out of the competition with COVID, he orchestrated a win against France, and he was just incredible. Everything went through him, and yeah, if we're going for an all-star team for the full tournament, I think Giesel gets in. But I approached it from the player that has impressed me the most up to date, and Magnusson just did it. He's probably just a slightly worse version of Matthias Giesel, but doesn't have Mikkel Hansen feeding him the ball. So that's why he gets into my team.
Do you think, Alex, if you were picking an MVP, you'd put Giesel as your MVP possibly at the end of the tournament? Depending on what happens, obviously, but
I'd say so. If there was an MVP on top of this all-star team, I would have probably put Giesel.
Can you check if the air conditioning is back on? It seems to have returned. Hopefully that's not making too much of an impact on the stream. But Alex can hear us okay anyway. Yeah, I think the MVP at the end will be one of these players, because you just have to fit in as many of these players into the team as possible. The sad thing is Kai Smits couldn't play the last couple of games, otherwise he probably would be the top scorer at the end of the championship. Then you could have Omar Ingi Magnusson as the right back in the team, and Matthias Giesel would be the MVP, depending on how things go.
It's incredible though, we're just so blessed with right backs.
And Jordanek has commented here, no, Martinovic is there, but there's a level between what Magnusson, Smits and Giesel have done here, and what Mem, Reinkind and Martinovic have done. But really the fact that the likes of Branko didn't get in says a lot about this position. And another position where two people agree. It's interesting, but not one yet where all of us have agreed, which is fascinating. Maybe we'll get there at some point soon. We'll move on to the right wing now, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll go into the 6 players nominated there. Brian, do you want to take us through, or can you see the screen?
I'll do my best. So we have the Icelander, Gudjonsson here, who was an absolute highlight reel machine, I think, for the whole tournament. Scored probably one of the best spin shot of the whole tournament. I think on TikTok got over 23 million views, if I'm not wrong. Then we've Walter, name I can never pronounce, Krutz. On the Swedish wing, he was absolutely epic against Norway. The broken wrist shot he took as a penalty at the end was just world-class stuff. Alexi Gomez on the wing there, good tournament. I think solid. He's always quite reliant for the Spaniards. And then we had Marito on the Polish wing. Yeah, he actually did a pretty incredible tournament. I think he scored over 40 goals at this stage, and he's the go-to man. And not much else I can say there. Bjornsson. Yeah. I think good tournament. Probably not his best, but I've seen him at better tournaments. But a good, solid, very reliable winger. He can throw the ball really hard, can't he? Ivan Šupić, absolute legend of the wing position. I think he's almost been in every single All-Star nomination now that ever existed. Never seems to slow down, and always so reliable. And a great man from the penalty spot. Takes the penalty spot from the halfway line, which is quite nice also.
Makes it more difficult for himself. He's like,
it's getting too easy.
Getting on, in age, trying to change things up a little bit here. Yeah, some great right wingers as well. And let's have a look at who we've chosen. A reminder that we want you to get involved in the comments and give us your choices as well for each of these positions, and tell us just how much we're wrong. And again, there's one agreement, but also a split. As Brian and I have gone for the same player, Alex has gone for the obvious choice. Alex, defend yourself, Arkadiusz Marito.
Oh, you just said it's the obvious choice. He's top scorer in the competition so far. Incredible penalty taker, driving, and he is good enough to force Poland to play Mikhail Dacek as right back instead of right wing. He was absolutely incredible. Part of the reason why Poland were able to push the pace throughout the tournament, and he became a father today. So congratulations to Arkadiusz Marito.
Nice, home just in time. Nice,
nice
that they waited. Okay, yeah, I mean there are some pretty straightforward answers as to why, but I don't feel the passion there, Brian.
Yeah, I think for me, I picked Gudjonsson because of pure feeling as well. I mean, he did play. I don't know. This doesn't sound almost unreal, but he played 400 minutes for Iceland, and I had to check
the most in the entire championship.
The most in the entire championship. So I had to actually double check that was even possible, because he didn't play for 20 minutes. So that gives you an idea of how much a machine this man is, and yeah, just a joy to watch. He's so dangerous from even the smallest angle you give him the ball, and you feel like he's gonna give it an absolute whip, and one of the best spin shots at the Euro, one of the best wrists.
What I like about Sigvaldi Gudjonsson in this championship is that he's been so different to what we see him do at Kielce. At Kielce, he's good, he's all right, but every time I see him play in the Champions League with Kielce, it looks like the weight of the world is on his shoulders when he's playing, because he has Arkadiusz Marito ahead of him in the pecking order. So this is a Kielce battle between these two in the All-Star team vote. But because Marito is like clearly the number one choice in Talent Dushabayev's mind, Gudjonsson feels like I really have to be perfect here every time or I'm in trouble. And like if he misses a shot or misses a penalty, like he really looks devastated. Here he's played with a lot of freedom. Like the fact is he's the only right wing in the squad, so they literally couldn't take him off. I mean, they had 4 other left-handers, and that's the 20 minutes he didn't play was when someone like Teitur Einarsson went out on the right wing. But it seemed like the fact that they really relied on him freed him in a way, because there wasn't someone who was going to come on as soon as he missed the shot, and that brought him, for me, to a whole new level. And I thought he was fantastic, and that's why 27 goals is pretty good as well. Not the most amazing finishing rate. I think maybe sometimes he tried to force it a little bit because he did have Magnusson beside him. So it was like, okay, if I'm getting a ball out here, I'm going to shoot. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to take it on and try and take every chance I get. So not the best shooting percentage, but a good championship for him overall. And yeah, as you said, played 6 hours and 40 minutes of the 7 hours he could possibly have played. Most in the championship.
Absolutely crazy.
There you go. Anyone else on the right wing list that deserves a special mention, Alex?
Yeah, I think we went through them. I think this one hasn't really lit up the championship compared to the other ones. And someone like Christian Bjornsson hasn't had his best tournament. He's been just very solid. Same for Alex Gomez, who really, he's just playing at his amazing high level, but not lighting it up. Father Prince, just really happy to see him get his chance. He only got his chance because of Nicholas Ekberg not being able to play, and then kept his position. So pretty incredible.
What about your theory about left-handers here, though? Doesn't really match up with. We don't have the best left-handers in the world playing this position. What happened to the 10,000 hour rule here?
Well, they're not good enough to play at right back, so they go in the wing.
Exactly.
No, that's very harsh. Some love here for Čupić and Marito as well in the chats. Yeah, I mean, Čupić in that sense, he is amazing that he gets into the All-Star team nomination over and over again. He's a wonder. So yeah, I think though, I mean, it's one of the most open ones. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, no one there would really surprise me. Walter Krins had an amazing game against Norway. Besides that, like, that's maybe what snuck him into that. But besides that, I think anyone else could potentially win that position. And if you want to make sure it's your player, you better vote. So, where are we going next? I guess to the line, right? Or is it the goalkeeper? It's the line player position. And this is Alex Kulesh's speciality as a line player himself. So take us through it, Alex.
Yeah, line players haven't really lit up this tournament. We were talking a lot, but Nicholas,
the sound seems to be gone.
Nicholas Tournat.
So
is it?
Let's yeah. Who do we have here? Magnus, or we're on the.
No, Alex is talking. Right?
I still, yeah. So Nicholas Tournat. Segstrup was your MVP before the tournament, Chris. He had a very, very good tournament so far, but just very consistently, like Denmark have been. Benjamin, real surprise here. I'm sure he is very proud to get into this team. He is a player who plays in Netherlands and really had to get to the standard of the European Championship. And really, fair play to him. He had a tournament. The next player is Maric, who, yeah, he's just very consistent. I think he's very similar to Čupić in a way that he gets the ball, he does something crazy, and we'll remember him from the 2020 European Championship where he scored that very crucial goal at the very end in their semi-final. Figueiras, he's been good. he's really an attacking line player. Very good shooting percentage, and yeah, Spain have really needed him in this championship. Has been a real force for Germany in this championship, with all of the line player options that Germany have, like Winczek, Pekler, not really shining at this tournament or not being able to play. It all fell on Johannes Golla.
Yeah, nice overview. And we were a bit worried there for a second, Alex, because we lost you, but I think on the stream you were fine, so everyone else could hear you. But we were back connected now, which is good. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just time to go straight into who we've chosen here. And Alex took us over the nominees well. Let's see who you boys have gone to, and we've gone different directions.
Oh, full
Interesting
split.
stuff. Okay, let's start with the expert, Alex.
As I was saying at the start, which you may not have heard, it really hasn't been a tournament for line players, and we've talked about that a good bit, of how the line player position is becoming more and more important, and we're seeing line players like Ben Sabanhidi, for example, being a real focal point of a team, or something like Kiel, Eckler and Winczek do so much more than a line player does on a normal basis, but that hasn't really been this championship. The line players have been there to finish up when needed, but the player who's done that best has been Johannes Golla. He has scored the most goals from the line player position at 28 with a 78% percentage, but the reason why I actually chose him is because he has also been a fantastic defender, and that's something we haven't seen from Golla in the past. But in this championship for Germany, he was forced to take a upfront role in that defense, and really stood up to that. He had 3 blocks, 6 steals. He has been the best player in that position.
Right.
It's not a position I really know a whole lot about, because I know Alex is the expert. And if you can't play centre back, you end up playing left or right back. If you can't play left or right back, you normally end up on the wings. If you can't play on the wings, you normally end up in goal. And if you can't play in goal, you end up at the pivot. So
I believe our producer is the line player as well. So if the stream accidentally drops down, or Brian is taken out of shot, there's the reason why.
No, I'm joking. I think it is actually the hardest, I think, position on the court. I think no player.
Brian, just to back.
Oh, that was quick.
Just to Brian up on this a little bit. I don't think it's the line players that decide to play those other positions. It's more like, if you can't shoot, you end up on the line, where the shooting is the easiest. But then you have to develop this incredible skill. But you have to develop this incredible skill of how to shoot as a line player, which is something completely different. And that's one thing in this tournament I've seen, the ability of line players to finish while they're basically parallel to the ground, 2 players grabbing their arms, legs, and they're still somehow being able to finish. That has been a trend of this championship, the ability to finish.
One thing which saddens me a lot is, remember back in the day, you do line players and they have knee pads on, elbow pads on, the full thing. And you don't really see that anymore. The odd elbow pad, and that's it. It's kind of gone out of fashion.
Ever since Ewan Nigalda retired.
Yeah, he was the last one. The last samurai.
Yeah. But you didn't tell us why you went for Marino Maric.
My long list of reasons. No, I would.
Are you deflecting, perhaps, Ryan?
No, it's based on one game.
Okay.
Yeah, and you were talking about him being very consistent. I actually think he wasn't very consistent at all. I actually looked up his stats before, and he just had really one good game, and it was against Denmark. But it was a really good game.
It was a really good game.
And he scored 8 from 9 goals in that, and I think he was absolutely incredible. And I think I was casting my brain back to other Euros when he was also quite incredible too. He's just he's a rock and roll line player, isn't he? You know, he has a great turn on him. He can throw the ball really hard.
Yeah, he can't defend. went for Saugstrup here, and maybe it is a little bit kind of hopeful because I did predict him as my MVP for the entire championship beforehand, hoping that the trend of line players taking full control of the game, like we've seen in the last couple of years, would continue. It hasn't quite been the case yet, but Saugstrup still a really good player, and I think he's so incredibly young. He's having an amazing season, which he's managed to keep up now, and he's still only lost one match.
That's right.
In the whole season.
That's incredible.
Right? For club or country, because he wasn't in the squad for the loss to France yesterday, so that doesn't count even. And when you have he is a common denominator in that. I mean, he's been used very well for the team. I think he will take full center stage this weekend. Denmark have been in a position where they didn't have to, like with Gietsel, they didn't have to use them all the time. They were able to rotate them a little bit. So stats-wise may not be amazing, but he is also a key defender in this team. He has taken Mulgaard out of contention basically for the team, which I think is very impressive. Mulgaard is in the squad, but probably the thinking behind it was Saugstrup, who can be a bit dodgy in defense sometimes, he might not need to be there. But he has played very well in defense and formed some nice combinations with the other centre block. So yeah, I'm going to go for Magnus there. And before we move on, some other love for Samir Benhanem. I mean, I properly saw him for the first time in a test match Netherlands played against Sweden just before the championship. Noticed that he's rock solid, so difficult to get a hand on him. And he's definitely going to earn himself a contract if he wants to go abroad to a larger league next season. Adria Figueras, not for me.
Oh, not for me either.
I did also in the podcast today, which if you haven't listened to it yet, make sure you subscribe to the Uninformed Handball Hour, download and listen. I mentioned that as being one of the reasons why Spain won't be so successful this weekend. Nicolas Tournat, he's been there the whole time, which you can't say about any of the other French players. He has avoided COVID, or avoided any other issues.
Last point.
Is that a compliment?
Yes.
Last point, the best line player at this championship went out in the preliminary round, and that is Artsem Karlek. He was absolutely ridiculous for Belarus. He, every time he got the ball, he just turned. He was absolutely unstoppable. He was around two players at a time. He was really a force, but Belarus went out in the preliminary round. And the worst line player was also Belarusian.
God, I didn't know we were going there. Why did we only start this at the line player position?
This is called the All-Star Team Show, Alex.
Oh my goodness! Are you talking about Bokan?
I was talking about Bokan.
Oh my
goodness! He just tournament. He's a fantastic player. He just had an incredibly bad tournament, and I'm really annoyed because I did a fantasy team thing. There's a Danish fan league where you pick your team for the tournament, and I put Bokan in as my line player. I had a card in my first game, minus points. I'm out of it anyway.
Don't be promoting alternative apps here on this stream, Alex. I wanted to cut you off in a second. Start talking with these Danish apps. The chef was back in the comments saying that about Benza Benhidi, and it's amazing he didn't make it into the top 6 or into the All-Star nominations. But I mean, obviously, Hungary had a disastrous tournament, and then he was actually injured for a lot of it as well.
If you don't qualify for the main round, you don't get in. You can't.
You got 1.5 games.
You can't be put in after 3 games. I think that's a fair minimum standard we can put in there. So let's move on to the goalkeeper position. And
Chris, you take us through it there.
Really? Okay, why not? So I'll have to lean in here. Nebojša Simic. Now I can see. Nebojša Simic, we had him on the podcast during the main round. Every time he played well, Montenegro won. Every time he didn't play well, Montenegro lost. Simple as that. I mean, he was the key player in that regard. And when he wasn't on form, Montenegro were not on form. Vincent Girard, until yesterday's game, he was having a brilliant tournament. He had percentages way up in the 30s. He had 54 saves, 38% save rate beforehand. Against Denmark, didn't play well, but did make a few saves right at the end, which was key. Kevin Muller, who has actually been the better of the two goalkeepers for Denmark in this championship. If he played both halves yesterday, Denmark probably would have won quite comfortably, but in the end, shite old Nicholas Landin went in and they lost. Victor Kireev, who has been a star. I mean, there's a moment I want to talk about, there's not enough time to talk about it now, where it just showed exactly what kind of man he is. Brilliant goalkeeper. Victor Hallgrimsson, one of the revelations in this championship. He's been knocking on the door a little bit. Plays for GOG in Denmark, the home of emerging talents, and he's got a big future ahead of him. He was a key player in all of their victories, basically, and their big games in the main round. And he displaced Björgvin Paul Gustafsson. And then Gonzalo Tavares, just making sure it was him. You could have chosen either goalkeeper there, Gonzalo or Rodrigo Corrales. Gonzalo Perez de Vargas, I think is a good choice in there. In the games they were successful, he had a huge role to play, and it was Corrales who saved them in the last game against Poland. But I think with those two, you could almost put them in as a pair. In fact, maybe that's a suggestion. Maybe you go for pairs of goalkeepers in the All-Star team.
That would be nice, actually.
Because, well, here, for some teams, you'd need 5,
Yeah, but
like the Netherlands, with Thijs van Leuven, who would get my special nomination. Special
Feel Good Award.
Feel Good Award. No, not that's not. I wasn't going to name special commendation.
Oh,
that's not the name of the award. Jesus Christ. But let's have a look and see who we went for here. And I'm sure we've all gone differently, and we have. Excellent. Excellent.
Now, this was another situation where I made this pick, and I thought, Victor, he's had an amazing tournament. I'll send in my nominations now to lovely Claymans over there. And then I went upstairs to back up these claims with some stats. And then I realised he was actually third worst goalkeeper up until that game against France. And then I was thinking, he's actually had a pretty bad tournament, just apart from that one game. But I told you at the top of the show, it's all about feeling. And those feelings were really big in that France
I'm going to defend you. I mean, he's got a save percentage in the 30s here. Right?
Up until the France game, it was 23%.
Yeah. Then he had 3 really good games. Then the France game, the Croatia game, he still played very well.
Yeah,
and then the victory over Montenegro.
Half a good game. Okay, 2.5 good games. Yeah.
No,
he's still my pick. I'm just saying.
It's like trying to give you some self-confidence in your pick here. What else do you like about him?
No, I just as I said to you,
he has a great jawline.
He's a great jawline, a wonderful haircut. And
really
honestly though, I've never seen him more fired up for a tournament or for games than I have seen him this time out. He's normally quite ice cold and kind of doesn't really react too much. But some of his reactions in that game against France, that was otherworldly almost.
Like boy in a candy shop.
Yeah, and he did. I felt like if he was a Pokemon, he evolved that night into something else. Like, you know, he went from Charmander to Charizard, and he really turned into a different beast altogether. And I think it was Gustafsson on his Instagram afterwards that a star was born. I think in Iceland he's probably gone up a few levels in terms of status. So it's incredible.
Yeah. Alex?
I went for Kireev because he...
Did you?
No, you didn't.
You went for
no, you didn't. You went for Vincent Girard, you bastard. I was stealing my pick.
I went for... Wait, what? I went for Kireev. I've got Kireev's stats written right in front of me. Oh, well, okay. Vincent Girard.
All right. How does Clayman's black himself out?
Gerard.
No, I mean, if you went for Kireev, who did you go for?
I went for Kireev.
Okay, then back that up.
All right.
I'll go with Kireev because he had an incredible preliminary round. That's when Russia were at their best. They won 3 games from 3, had some really tough victories in there. He made 10, 11, 10 saves during that.
Sorry, we're going to have to stop you there because someone is about to open a can of whoop-ass.
Oh, God. Oh, that's so good. That's
Alex,
after the fact, though, Alex.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, you can't blame the producer here.
You can't. The producer doesn't have access to your app on your phone, or does he?
I did send him that picture.
Okay.
Anyway, that's besides the fact. I confused. I was confused myself because I like Gerard. I like Euraev. You know, it's a tough choice, this All-Star team. I think Euraev for me in the end, because he just had that amazing preliminary round. He was part of the reason why they won that big game against Norway. And this is a Russia team that were destined for so much more in this championship, and he was a big part of that.
Yeah. On Euraev then, while we're talking about him, 73 saves is really, really good, almost 34%. And my favourite moment, though, was in the game against Germany, the last main round game, a game that meant absolutely diddly squat in the whole context of things, but both teams going hard at it. And he clearly injured himself, like badly, midway through the second half. He was having a good game, injured himself really badly, went off for about 2 minutes, and there was a cut to him putting like ice spray on, like just holding it for about 10 seconds. And that was only what was shown on the screen. Just spraying himself until he couldn't feel anything anymore. And then he limped back onto court. Old Limpy McGee there. And then he made a couple of more amazing saves. Yeah. And he was really unfortunate that he ended up in the losing team. But he didn't deserve it. And that's why I went for Euraev.
I think the Russian team are the only team that still use that ice spray. It's real 1990s physiotherapy kind of stuff. But it's great to see it. You know, let's bring back the ice spray and bring back some elbow pads, huh?
There you go. Yeah. Well, who'd you go for?
I've already.
You talked about Hallgrimsson.
Yeah. I've already
who have the people in the chat gone for? I seem to have lost my chat here. You.
There's a few people saying here, the chef is back again. Thank you, chef, for all the comments, by the way. He's saying Simic deserves a prize for his reactions after the saves, and I think that's fair. I think there were some of the best footage we got of the whole tournament. You'll be seeing that footage for years and years to come. I guarantee you that. That'll be used in every highlights package and promotion for Euros to come for many a year. Yeah. Another guy says, Jordanik says, have you watched Müller? And then he says, oh guys, I'm sorry, autocorrect, Muller. Danish Muller, of course. And you talked about it there, Chris. He was incredible yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, in the whole, he's been in the 40% save rate. I think if not for the fact that he splits time with Nicolas Landin and is still number 2 behind Nicolas Landin, he would probably be my choice. But Euraev gets it for the heart for me. Great reactions as well. Goalkeepers, it is about the reactions. Nebojša Simic is like top dog there. Euraev, in terms of like, you know, a bit scary, he's there, and then just pure beauty and great smile, Hallgrimsson.
Exactly, yeah.
And unfortunately, Benjamin Buric, Mr. Smiley, could only get 3 games in this competition, so he was nowhere near the running. We've only got defence left, right?
Yeah, as I said at the top of the hour, probably the least important position on the court. If you thought my opinion on pivots was bad or line players was bad, this is even worse. I couldn't tell you. I've no idea what these players are doing. I don't know how they even get paid to do the job they're doing. But here they are, the defensive specialists.
I think that says a lot about your approach to handball in general.
Yeah. I was never great in defence. So I'm definitely not going to do the rundown for this. Alex, you take this one away, will you?
Yes, as the best defender out of the 3 of us, I'll take this one. I'm gunning for defensive specialist. Simon Held has been very good for Denmark. Who is this?
Exactly, you don't even know who you're talking about.
Oscar Bergendahl. Pretty erratic, but he was a very good player. I think Gislason had a really impressive tournament. I've really liked watching him grow. Guardiola, just, you know, Mr. Defense himself, the old stay in the Spanish team. Big reason why Spain can continue being the great team they are. Then Karl Conan, a real breakout star in this championship, given a really, really important role in there of that French defense. He really stood up to the challenge, and we spoke to him as well on our pod. If you haven't listened to that, definitely listen to that interview. is a very interesting story. And the last player here is Pavel Andreev, I believe. Just got a lot of blocks. He just got a ridiculous amount of blocks for Russia. That's kind of all he did. Just got 7 blocks, I think. Pretty incredible.
You know the best part of all those highlights? The goals. The goals were the best part of all those highlights.
Empty net goals.
Empty net goals. The blocks themselves are okay and all, but like, come on. My defensive player was the player in this list who had the best attack of all the defensive players. That's why can I reveal my...
Yeah, just to, Clemens, give us a shout here. The stats here are blocks and steals combined. Okay. That doesn't look good for my choice. Okay.
I went for Simon Hald because Simon Hald is the true Mr. 100%. He scored 10 out of 10 goals. 10 goals out of 10 shots, sorry. And he is true, the Danish Mr. 100%. Shit. So Matthias Gitzel, look, he missed a shot. Simon hasn't missed a shot. So I'll leave it there.
Wow. That's, yeah.
You can see how hard it is to talk about the safety specialist. No one really knows what we're talking about.
Simon Held is fantastic. And I didn't expect him to play so well at this championship. I thought he was further down the pecking order, a bit like Magnus Saugstrup. And he's really stepped up to the mark, including an attack. Like you said, I know this is not about the attack.
It is, though.
First line of attack is defense. Well, look, the way you get easy goals in handball is through good defense and turnovers. And that is where my man, Oscar Bergendahl, did not contribute as much as the rest of the team. 5 in combination. But Oscar Bergendahl is a great story as well. He was a guy, when you look at him play for GOG in the Danish league or the European league, he's not somebody you really pay too much attention to. I mean, he doesn't have hair. He's a live player.
You're scraping the barrel now.
He's a
also
live player.
just to say on Oscar Bergendahl, he doesn't have hair, but he's only 26 years old.
Right.
So he's actually quite young.
That's it. I mean, you get the feeling with
comments.
Oscar. Sorry, Brian. That's a cheap shot. You've got plenty of hair. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't like your mother. Don't worry. You're beautiful anyway. Oscar. Yeah, he's a guy. Like I'm pretty sure the first time I saw him play for GOG, it was like, oh, here's like an old Swedish journeyman. 33 years old, popping up, but actually a rising star. Got into this team for the first time at this championship, and it was a difficult situation in terms of the Swedish line player and center of defense, because the way they play, they want a guy who can go both ways, attack and defense. Max Starry was out early in the championship, and he filled in brilliantly. He was a man possessed in that Norway game from start to finish. Like, he had eyes, only eyes for Sander Saugesen in that entire match. He set the tone at the beginning of that game. Whenever anyone entered the 9-meter area, he was already there waiting for them to welcome them and hold on tight. And he's done that throughout the whole championship. I don't think he'll win this position, but I thought he deserves a bit of love.
I really love his style of defense because he's very aggressive, and he closes people. Like he gets the stop fouls, as they're called in Germany, and he's very exciting to watch. But actually, at the start when he got into the team, he struggled in that defensive position, but he really, really went up. A player that didn't struggle was Guardiola, who is clearly the best defender on this list, because Spain have been able to continue doing what they do because of him. He's the only player kind of left of that defensive wall they've had for many years. He's had different players beside him throughout the tournament. He's had to integrate players. He's the clear leader, and he's done all of that and only got 1 2-minute suspension in the whole tournament so far. So he's doing it. He's also got 6 steals, 3 blocks. For some reason, that says he has 7 total, but a top
You're trying to
defender.
get yourself blacked out again, Alex.
I think, to be fair, I think it's my stats that are wrong in this,
Okay.
and I know he has 6 steals,
Mhm.
so 1 block maybe, but that was his highlight. He does instigate that fast break as well. Just incredible to see him still going.
To be, you don't get to talk about the defenders.
No,
Fuck
I
off.
don't. I'm just going to. I'll have the last word. I'll have the last word.
You set out your stall
have
very
the last
early in
word.
this conversation.
I'll have the last word.
I think this is a position where it is pretty stacked. Like when you think of the 3 players we haven't chosen there, Gisla Son has been amazing. Carl Conan has been a revelation for the team, and in terms of the stats we see on the screen, him and Pavel Andreev top of those. So really, it's a wide open position. So what do you have to say there, Brian?
I'll just leave. I think we'll leave the defensive topic with this. The comment of the day, I think,
Okay.
to be honest, comes from the chef again. I think who's been probably our commenter of the day also. So thanks for all his comments. But he just said Brian made a great point about the defense. So I think we just leave it there.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah. But also thank you to Pang Kaka, who wrote Bergendahl is coming to this tournament as big number 3 and his backup, playing like he's doing. Kind of surprising for a lot of people. That's very true. And Handballytics, who has Handball Analytics to back up his opinions. Julian Rux about the line player says Saugstrup is the best for me. There you go. Unless he's talking about the defense. And in which case, Julian, get on board. You can't choose him for that position.
Big shout out to Handballytics as well for all the work they're doing at the Euro. It's really cool stuff.
All right. So I think we can wrap up in terms of the actual team. And we have some instructions on the screen, which I'm going to lean in smoothly to see.
We have the actual
I'm going to
present my team first.
Yeah, Alex, team first.
What a beauty of a team. What can I say? I've gone through all these players, but it's I think I've got a nice mix. I've got 2 Swedish players in, probably because I chose them as my winners. I
thought you were going to say I've got 2 Swedish players in there, probably because I chose them. Full stop.
I did. But I'm very happy with my team. Yeah.
Oh, this is great TV, Alex. Anyway,
Amazing.
on to my team. Move on to here.
Right, where's the weakness in the team, though? If you were going to put them 7 on the court, or the 8.
So, goal, we have the best looking keeper in the world. Do you know, Hallgrimsson. Barthold is the Mr. Story, do you know? The underdog for so long. Jim, Mr. Sweden. Tin Lucin, a revelation. Gitzel, Mr. Handball. Goodness, Mr. Spin Shot. Simon Hald, best attacking defense player on the planet. And Maric on the line. He has a good game every now and again. So I don't really see any holes in that team.
Brian Campion is the coach of that team. You're like, lads, don't worry about it. We can concede 42 goals as long as we score 43.
I just take them off every defense, just to have them off, have them rest for the day.
Don't worry, we'll keep
Put them
scoring
back
more.
on an attack.
Oh, goodness me. So that's Brian's team. Lacking a few holes in defense there, I think, in general. And for Chris's All-Star team, Kirev, Mr. Nutjob in goal. He'll literally do anything for you with a broken ankle, that's fine. Milos Vujovic, he'll break somebody's ankle. Tin Lucin, he'll play smart alongside Luke Stein. Luke Stein's Matthias Gitzel and Tin Lucin in the backcourt is a pretty, I mean, if I had
Tasty.
20 million euro to spare, I would build a backcourt with the 3 of those guys. Sigvaldi Gudjonsson, he'd be my only right wing in the team in that case. So much so that I would actually have myself as the backup, so he knew I'd never come on. Instead of I would fill him with the confidence he needs.
Mr. 400 minutes.
Yeah, Mr. 400 minutes. Magnus Saugstrup, who not only, there's clarification here from Julian, I'd take him as my line player and defense if he could.
Oh.
You can't though, but Magnus Saugstrup, also my prediction for MVP. Oscar Bergendahl, he won't be breaking ankles, but he'll be breaking collarbones. Yeah, there you go. It turns out I'm not a dirty handball player, but if I were coaching a team, they would be.
It's a very, very small team you have, Chris, in terms of height.
Yeah, I mean, that's the future, clearly. I'm going for the Japan, Netherlands, Bahrain approach. I mean, yeah, it's fine. And if I was coaching them, then I might be the tallest, which is good. And my below average handball height of 183.
Napoleon handball.
Napoleon handball,
It's
yeah.
the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll call our home arena the Waterloo Arena. So, up next we have the predictions for the final weekend. Well, not for the final weekend, just for the Friday. So 3 games coming on Friday. We have, first of all, Iceland versus Norway, which is actually an incredibly important game because on the line is a direct ticket to the World Championship next year. So nobody has to deal with any qualification nonsense. Nobody has to be worried about losing to the Faroe Islands, which, if I were a team like Iceland, that would be very much like them doing so well at this championship, and then they'll lose to the Faroe Islands in a playoff for the World Championship next year. So they want to win this one, and that's why I think they will. So much so that I've put my bonus ball on it.
I don't know. I think Norway were just extremely unlucky, and after that type of defeat, I think they're going to be chomping at the bit to get a result. So I think Norway are going to win it by 4, coast it. I think they're going to look really impressive, and people are going to think, oh, God, I wish Norway were in the semi-finals. Yeah.
I think Iceland have their team back. They already got a few players back and booked expedition potentially. That's how good they are. So they're going to beat Norway.
Okay, so
A last point on the All-Star teams. My team was voted as the best team of the 3, even though I didn't present it too well. So didn't need to.
0 votes to Chris. There you go. That's because I presented mine last, clearly. But Chef Bontea says no votes to Chris, head in hands. Is that because you agree with me or you think I'm terrible at this? Could be both. And Jimmy Mimente says an all-star team without any Spanish players. Well, actually, Alex did put a Spanish player, Guardiola, in his team. It's just been difficult. And if we look at the semi-final predictions, if we're honest, Spain, lucky to be here. And they're the worst team in the semi-finals. Throwing it out there. And that's why they're going to lose to Denmark in the semi-final. Brian, you've gone for Spain to win.
Because we've been wrong so many times in the past before. I'm taking a risk here. I'm really rolling the dice with this one. I won't tell you what's actually on my official predictor app, but for the stream, I have Spain winning. Because I can always change my mind, but for the official stream, I have Spain there winning. Look, well, let's see. I think Spain still have a huge amount of experience in there, and I think they're probably going to slow the game down loads. And I think maybe Denmark won't like that a whole lot. So
I think that's something we've all seen in our predictions, that we've gone for low scoring enough games. So
yeah, true.
We do see that. I mean, Spain are the masters of this. I mean, count them out at your peril,
Like you were. Yeah.
like I am. So I'm happy to be the sacrificial lamb in this case. That seems to be my role in the team I've chosen. Interestingly enough, we have a lot of similar players, Brian, but you've gotten a bit more love for yours. It must be because of your hatred of defenders.
Must be, yeah. And maybe my big shiny head as well.
There you go. No comments on that yet, which is good.
No, thank you.
Funny. Oh, geez. Now, lads, we have to get off this. All right, last no, we can't do an hour on this. Of course
We have Nickelmon 23 here. Denmark, I think he means Denmark finished first. Sweden. Oh no, Denmark Sweden final. He didn't say the winner, so there you go.
That's what Alex and I have predicted as well. Alex, you were confident enough to put your bonus ball on Denmark to win, or Sweden to win, and you put it on France to win.
I did, yeah. Again, contrarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple as. Because you're. Alex. So I think maybe we'll leave it there for the stream today. Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye, Alex.
We
He's back. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up anyway.
Yeah.
It must be Clemens shutting Alex up for his derogatory comments earlier on. I know that was Brian's. Alex said something wrong, right? No, he agreed with you. Shit.
That must be it. That must be it.
All right, folks. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this. Thank you for all your comments as well. It'll be a brilliant final weekend. I think whatever happens, there's been a lot of drama over the last few days. I hope we have more of the same tomorrow night. And make sure to remember to go and get the Home of Handball app if you haven't already. And
if you enjoyed our over and back banter, maybe you'd like to listen to us every 2 weeks or so on our podcast, the Uninformed Handball Hour, or just at Handball Hour on all your social media apps.
Very good. That's it. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Bye-bye.